You don't need a mic.
Come this side.
You want me to be here?
Yes. I'll switch from here. Just let me know when you want me to.
Okay. Presentation for Wi-Fi. Oh!
It's okay.
Careful. Somebody comes. Kavita, come here.
Maybe you can move a little behind.
We are not the audience, we are the audience.
Don't show anyone. Okay, start. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to yet another session of Jazz Club. This time we decided to go into an area which most people may not have heard too much about. That is vocal jazz harmony. Now, vocal jazz harmony groups. Now, all these sessions in the past, for the last 1 year, we have been talking about different aspects of the music, whether it's in a vertical section from New Orleans to New Orleans, or whether it's horizontal between trumpets and women in jazz and so on. So therefore, we decided to look at a third dimension, which is vocal jazz groups. Now, most of jazz, which you know, a lot of it, most of it, is instrumental, whether it's big bands or small groups or periods. There have been a significant amount of singers like Ella Fitzgerald, Sarah Vaughan, and Williams, and so on, which you hear about. You would have listened to quite a few of them. But groups, vocal jazz groups, is something which not too many have listened to or heard about. And therefore, I thought it will be relevant to interesting to talk about vocal jazz groups. So here goes. Can you hear me? Yeah. So here goes. But before we talk about vocal jazz groups, let's talk about harmony, because all these groups, vocal jazz groups, sing. All the vocal jazz groups sing in harmony. Now, what exactly is harmony is what we'll try to understand in the next few slides. Okay? So, see. In a vocal harmony group, the main vocal line is supported by 2 or 3 backup lines. Now, each of these are 2, 3, and 5 steps above the main vocal line. And these steps are called intervals in musical language. They are known as seconds, thirds, and fifths of the root chord. They are known as second, thirds, and fifths of the root chord. In the C scale, the first note is of course the C, the root, which is followed by the second, which is D, third is E, and the fifth is G. I hope that's clear, right? Now, all these are sung in unison, they sung together, to produce a blend of cohesive voices. Now, important thing here is that they are cohesive, and when they are cohesive, they sound good. And they're pleasant to the human ear because they have a wider spectrum, a fuller body compared to the single main melodic line, which one is often used to, and the different frequencies of each of these, the different frequencies of the seconds, thirds, and fifths harmonize. Harmonize means they go together. When they go together, they sound good. Thanks for coming. If we can go through that, it will start. Okay? So we started by talking about what is vocal harmony. which is singing in seconds, thirds, and fifths, which are called intervals, the seconds, thirds, and fifths are the C, the root note, the D, the third E, and the fifth G, which are all sung in unison. Okay? Right, so is that clear? Let's move forward.
Excuse me, Ashwin, can I elaborate? Can I elaborate?
Yeah, sure.
The main melody, the seconds, is 2 notes below the main. The seconds are sung 2 notes below the main melody, like 2 notes. The thirds is 3 notes above the main note melody, and the fifth is 5 notes above the main note, melody note. So when you sing the seconds, thirds, and fifths, and the main melody, it sounds beautiful. Okay, that's harmony.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, let's proceed. Now, the sound good feel is called consonant. Now, consonant is opposite of dissonant. Okay? And it's mathematically balanced. The reason we like it because it's mathematically balanced in terms of multiples of each note. And what they say is culturally ingrained in us as human beings. As human beings, we don't like discordant notes. We like what we call consonant notes. And so, because they are consonant, they are in harmony, they are mathematically balanced, and therefore to the human brain, it sounds good. And the reason they are mathematically balanced is the seconds are 9:8 ratio, they're full ratio, they're not fractions. The thirds are 5:4, the fifths are 3:2 ratio, multiples of the frequency. Okay? So, when you go an octave up, you know what's an octave up? The same scale but 8 notes ahead. When you go an octave up, then it's a little more shrill, a higher frequency but the same scale. The change is, the ratio is 2:1. You got it? So, because the frequency is double.
I don't understand what you mean by ratio. 9 to 8 ratio. What does that mean?
The frequency. The frequencies are double. The ratio of the frequency. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a, yeah.
So, basically, when we're talking about mathematics and music, the one factor linking the two is going to be frequency, right? Because sound is ultimately a vibration in air, right? So that vibration is, say, like I'm speaking just now to you, you're hearing through, or even if I'm not using the mic and I'm speaking. So the air between my lips and your ears is literally vibrating, and between this distance, the air molecules that are there, they are vibrating at a particular frequency. Disturbance is passed through every particle of air. So now that is measured with frequency. At so and so hertz, you are able to hear it. So that is the first thing. So mainly today's presentation we will be talking about multiple sounds at the same time. That is basically harmony. Like for example, if I'm singing a song, say happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, and maybe if somebody else is also singing with me, it's going to sound even better. But when is it really going to sound even better is when the person singing with me is not singing the melody line exactly, but something a little away from it. But yet the two sounds when are played together is what we call harmony. And like you were saying, what sounds good to the brain is these ratios which are integers basically. So the moment you try to include fractions or any decimals in the figure, that's the reason you will hear a sort of a dissonance. These multiple sounds which don't really sound very pleasant to listener. That is because of this difference in the ratio. Would you like to add something?
No, when you sing happy birthday, can I sing the seconds?
Sure.
I don't think one mic will be able to. So it's okay. Okay. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. So see, we're singing two different lines, but when it really comes together is when the magic happens. So that's what he's
Can you do
talking
it in the
about.
higher octave, same scale? No. His actual question was octave.
Okay.
Have you heard of, no?
No, the
Because
question,
you asked
the question was basically
one.
what do the 9 and the 8 represent? Why do they make for a ratio?
Okay. So, like I was saying, sound is frequency. Everything we're hearing is basically a figure, a mathematical figure. Okay, at this frequency we're hearing it. Now, when there are these two sounds simultaneously being going, you're taking the ratio of these frequencies. So that 9 is to 8 is probably the ratio of one note to another note. So what you are saying is when there are two simultaneous sounds being played together, if they are in a ratio of an integer basically, that's when it sounds a little pleasant to the ear. Whereas against when you have something say, something like an irrational figure, where it's a recurring decimal or something like that, that won't really sound very pleasing to the ear because it's not a resolving sound that people and we get to catch it.
These frequencies are in sync. If you recall your physics, which you learned in the 10th standard or 11th, the sound waves, when they are in sync, they can multiply and sound much better than if they are not in sync. If they are not in sync, the sound is discordant. So it's all about being in sync. When it's in sync, it's pleasant to the ear. Now, there is a demo of this. We were planning actually to get a live demo, but unfortunately, all those singers have exams going on, so we couldn't get a group to do it. Otherwise, we were expecting that there would be questions and people would doubt what's this. So, therefore, we thought of getting a live group, but it didn't work out because of time. But nevertheless, I've got a video which demonstrates that. Let's go ahead. Yeah. As I said, this mix of fractional ratios sounds odd. Alright? And just pleasing to the ear. Now, there's a side to this. In classical music, Wagner, Stravinsky, Mellon, Shostakovich in particular, they have employed techniques to use dissonance. They were, once you get used to the consonant sounds, it can get a little boring. So what many of these composers did in classical music, they used dissonant sounds with discretion. Because once you introduce a dissonant, a slight dissonant, not very discordant, then it's different. Because it's different. What's that? It's the sound of surprise.
Early Renaissance music by Corelli, deliberately use dissonance to throw you off, and then they resolve it at the end of a phrase, etc. So it gave you the feeling
Of resolution.
And it took.
Exactly. So that is the main thing we're talking about here is you create that tension and then you just release it.
In fact, Shostakovich's compositions, if you listen to them, as compared to Mozart, for example, they're so different. And one of the reasons for the difference is his, I don't want to say extensive, but liberal use of dissonance and his liberal use of slight dissonance. Not big fractions, small fractions, which results in a sound which is makes you think, wow,
Yeah, really question
what's this? It sounds different.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound bad, but it sounds different. And in jazz, Thelonious Monk was one of the earliest to employ a different you know, and people used to call Monk a bit of a crazy guy. They used to think that Monk was, because even his behavior otherwise was odd. And coupled with his compositions, uh, people said that Monk is not a normal person. His music, his behavior, everything about him. But the fact is that Monk's compositions were so unique that they sounded good, although they sounded different. Because his mind was such a mathematical mind that he could employ different chords to, from the normal harmonized chords, something which would sound different, slightly different, but very, very interesting. And when he put it all together, Monk's composition became unique. People liked it, they loved it, they didn't know why, but they loved it. Until about a couple of years back, Vijay Iyer has deciphered Monk's compositions, because Vijay Iyer was a MS in physics. He is a physics graduate. In fact, he is a physics master. He has done a PhD in rhythms. He's done a PhD in rhythms. So he was able to decipher Monk's compositions and say that this sounds good because it's actually harmonized. But it's harmonized in a very sophisticated manner. So therefore it sounds different. And Eric Dolphy, Eric Dolphy and Ornette Coleman were also called weird guys. They were called weird guys, but a lot of what they did makes sense. It sounds different. Okay? Alright, so with that much on harmony, we won't go too far. We go further. It's had harmonic vocal groups have had their place in European music, in operas, especially in operas you hear vocal groups harmonized. In Saharan Africa, besides the rhythmic sophistication, the African music has a lot of elements of harmonic sound and counter melody and other techniques which later got used in jazz and a lot of other orchestral music. And it found its way into choirs in church and in the fields where the slaves used to work, and then got into jazz. You know, the blues, it got into rhythm and blues, it got into jazz, it got into what is called doo-wop, and it got into the kind of music Ray Charles was doing. And so the spread of vocal harmony was far and wide. And as far as jazz goes, it went in as early as 1933. So that's the spectrum of what vocal harmony groups have covered in the last several decades. And although not too much is talked about it, but it has been present, omnipresent. Okay? In fact, vocal harmonic groups have been used even in Hindi film music. If you listen to the backgrounds of, the heavily orchestrated music of Shankar Jaikishan, all of which was written by Sebastian D'Souza, he uses extensive harmonies, counter melodies, and he also uses choral voices. He uses opera singers. Sometimes you listen to Garaya Mera Paradesi. You listen to the soundtrack of that song. He's used every element of instrumentation, harmony, vocal harmony, opera singers, and even church bells in that music. Okay, so we'll first play that Sing in Harmony. Gives you an idea. We'll talk about it before we.
Free falling. best in my opinion. I am so excited to be here with Julia Ziegler, who is our Singing Community Specialist. So she is in our singing community helping and supporting and teaching, and she's marvelous at singing harmony. And so I'm so excited to have her here because this means that we can teach you how to sing harmonies. Because I listen to music and I'm like, oh my gosh, that was effortless. I hear these beautiful harmonies. I start singing and she can just pick out a harmony. And for me, it's been a little bit more of a struggle to learn how to do that naturally. And so we're going to be breaking down the process so that myself and you can sing beautiful harmonies. Let's dive in. So what is a harmony? A harmony is basically two or more notes sung together at the same time in a way that's pleasing to our ear. So if I were like, oh, that is lovely. So that's a harmony in a nutshell, but how do you get there? So harmonies are created using something called intervals, okay? And intervals are basically the distance between two notes. So in order to create a harmony, you have to find two notes that sound good together, like, okay, do a third maybe. We love that. So beautiful. So if you end up on a note that sounds not so good together, like too close, it doesn't sound good, then you're not singing a harmony that's pleasing to the ears. So we're gonna figure out how to find the right notes to sing to create beautiful harmonies. And to do that, I feel like we need a quick little theory lesson. I promise it will be fun and exciting and also super duper helpful. So this note here is C. So we're going to take this note and we're going to give it a number. 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then 5, and then 6, and then 7. And this is actually the same note. This is C. So we're back to 1. Now, if I sing the 1, and Julia sings the 3, we have what's called a third. 1, 2, 3. Wonderful. Now, if I were to sing the 1, Julia can sing the 4. That's lovely. Or she can sing the 5. Now, there are a variety of notes that are going to sound good to harmonize any given note, and that can be a little bit complicated. And we're going to save that for another day because I want to give you a tried and true surefire way to find a harmony so that you can get started on this and make beautiful harmonies for yourself. So, we're going to play a little game and we're going to use the Beatles. The Beatles are here to help us because if you've ever heard Twist and Shout, you're going to have some context for what we're talking about here. So, in order to do this, we're going to need a couple different notes. So, we're going to bring one more voice. Okay, so thanks to the Beatles, many of us will have a reference point for that Twist and Shout song and that really fun we need other voices back. So we have a reference point for that, and if you can call that to mind based on any melody note that you're trying to sing, you're going to have those intervals, those notes that you need to create a harmony. And we're going to keep it really, really simple for now, and we're just going to work on that first harmony, which is called a third. So if I'm singing that's weird. So let's actually apply this to some exercise. So we're going to play a little game. I'm going to sing a note, and then I'm going to wait and see if you can sing the third, and then Julia's going to join in after a couple seconds, and then she'll sing that third. So you can try first on your own, but if you can't find it, if you're singing the same note as Julia, you've nailed it. Okay, so here's my first note. Okay, and then let's see. This one. Slow. Okay, and then this one. Yes. And if you're struggling with this, just go back to that Beatles thing and sort of like try to imagine that whole line in your head. Right, that's going to help you figure out where you need to be. So that was a fun little game. So now that you've practiced finding that third, let's apply it to a song. So if I were to sing, and I'm free, I'm going to listen for the third above that note. We got a harmony. So the tricky part is, what do you know, what do you do next? So I'm going to move in parallel thirds. So we're actually going to keep the interval the same, okay? Moving along with the melody. So just harmony is going to be a third above, and I'm going to sing. And I'm free falling. Together, it would look like. And I'm free falling. It's so exciting because when you look at it like this, as a sort of a first step toward learning harmonies, it's so simple. Yes, you have to train your ear, and it does help you. And I think it's important to recognize that. But since the pen notes on your journey to the good looking, just follow.
Okay, that's the substitute for the live group which we couldn't get. So I hope there is a fair idea about what vocal harmony is, okay? Right? So let's proceed and we'll get into the vocal jazz groups which harmonize. And for starters, this is a group which came up in 1933, so long ago. Now, as you know, most of the jazz compositions have been instrumentals. There were no written lyrics for them. Even the names which were given were arbitrarily given by those who composed the songs, and then they were orchestrated, they were arranged depending on which band was going to play it. The arranger wrote arrangements for that particular band based on the composition composed by the person who had composed it originally. Lyrics were written later by individuals who wanted to sing to composition. And a song like Mood Indigo, which is Duke Ellington's perennial, was the lyrics were written as far back as 1933, and sung by this group. This is perhaps the first ever vocal jazz harmony group. And it's interesting that they got popular enough to be singing with Glenn Miller and Benny Goodman, who were the top bands of that time. And they are also the the forerunners of what Ella Fitzgerald and other popular singers came up later with their styles. So let's get into what Gospel Sisters do with Mood Indigo.
Wave in the
being 1933, you heard the banjo, which was popular with the New Orleans bands at that time. And incidentally, these ladies played as well as sang. You heard the alto and even string in that. Yeah.
Were they also improvising while they were doing this? Was there vocal improvisation?
Now, a lot of these groups, even the next one, they're only singing the lyrics of the main composition. There is no, the improvising came later in the later groups, which I'll play. Okay. But in this group, they restricted themselves to the composition, singing the lyrics of the composition. And because it was 1933, they were all 78 RPMs. So the time was 2.5 minutes.
Okay.
So within 2.5 minutes, you can't do much improvisation. So therefore, they stuck to the main composition, and that was it.
So they were quite classically rooted that way.
Pardon?
They were quite classically rooted that way. Since there was no improvisation, I don't think you could
Yeah, it
really.
was only the composition. Yeah.
You can't really classify that as jazz unless they bring in those complex harmonies and
Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead. This is another group which came up in the 50s for a short while, although they made about 30 records. They had a pretty extensive range, and therefore they were called the high lows. They were also called the high lows because between four of them, two guys were very short and two guys were very tall. So they called themselves the high lows. And here they are singing Basin Street Blues, another very popular jazz standard. Once again, you'll find that they are, the emphasis is on vocal harmony, not on improvisation, and singing the lyrics of the composition.
Basin Street is the street where the elite always meet in New Orleans, the land of dreams. You never know how nice it seems or just how much it means. Glad to be, yes sirree, where welcome's free. Let's move on. A group which came in the 50s was Lambert, Hendricks and Ross.
uh, one woman and two guys. Lambert was a singer who sang individually. He used to freelance and sing wherever he got a chance, even on the street sometimes. Hendrix was a different kind altogether. He was a law student who was keen on pursuing a career in the legal profession, but the depression put paid to his ambitions, and his finances ran out, and because he had some talent in singing, he thought he would try and earn some money singing. So they got in touch with together Lambert and Hendrix, and along with them came a lady called Annie Ross, not Diana Ross, Annie Ross. And when they got together, they once again decided to do all those jazz compositions where lyrics were not written. And Hendrix wrote a lot of the lyrics for the compositions of that time, whether it was Count Basie or Duke Ellington or any of the greats of jazz. And this is where they got into scat singing and improvisation. You know, Kevin, you were asking me.
Yeah.
And those riffs and scat singing was similar to what the soloists did on their tenors or their altos or their trumpets. They substituted the instruments with their voices. And they became so popular that they won Grammys, and Hendrix became extremely popular. John Hendrix. He was called the poet laureate of jazz, the best jazz singer on the planet, James Joyce Live, and so on. Such excessive tributes were paid to him. So let's listen to two tracks of Lambert, Hendrix, and Ross. One is Every Day I Have the Blues, and the second is Little Darling, written by Louis Armstrong for his wife, Lily. Yeah, PLC is fine. see that it's gone up one level. When they are singing in unison, they are trying to imitate the brass sections of the band together when they are playing together, brass sections. And when they are singing in harmony, they are using the entire range of their voices. And there's also an element of improvisation and scatting.
Yes.
Thanks to the fact that by this time they were able to film and record it for longer periods, and therefore they had the time to do all that. Like it. Okay, let's listen to a little. Incidentally, that was a long basic time. Long basic time. No, the second one. Yeah. Just an excerpt of it. Same sentence. When they are singing in unison, the first part, before she came out for solo, you see the timing, it's very languid, it's slow paced, but the timing is impeccable, and the reason is actually they have written the score on the sheet with the time signature, and for each of them, and then they have practiced it to the stage where they don't need to read the score anymore. They know it to perfection, and then sung it live. So a lot of work goes behind whatever you see singing live. Okay, so Lambert, Hendricks, and Ross gave way to Lambert, Hendricks, and Bhavan. Now, what is Bhavan? Annie Ross got replaced by Yolande Bhavan. And if you see the lady, there's no longer a white lady, she's a brown lady. And she got a tikka on her forehead. And she's wearing a sari. So they both the pictures. So is this an Indian lady back in 1961, 62? But how did she come there? You know, the story goes that Lambert, Hendricks, and Ross got very popular. They were invited to sing at the London Palladium, and after that show was over, Annie Ross was told that the New York police are after you. So if you land back in the US, you're going to get arrested. So for drugs. So she got scared and she said, I'm not going back to America. No more. She was a British anyway. Now, these guys had shows lined up in the US, Lambert and Henry. She said, no way, I'm not coming. I don't care. I don't want to go into jail. So what do? They're stuck and they've got these shows lined up. So along comes this lady and she says, and this news got in the press. So she got wind of this and contacted Hendrik. And she said, my name is Leonard Bhawan, I know all your songs. I've been singing and practicing them, I can join you. He said, you can join us? He said, yeah. I said, alright. He had no choice, he was stuck. So he had no choice but to say yes. Now, she wasn't an Indian, she was a Sri Lankan. Sri Lankan. But I think she was a Hindu, so she had or I don't know, maybe she did that for effect.
Possibly.
I don't know that part. So anyway, they went into the concert with hardly any rehearsals. And Bhavan fit into the role like a hand and glove. It was so smooth. The takeover from Annie Ross to Bhavan, that finally the group got to be known as Lambert, Hendricks and Bhavan, and they made a number of recordings. I put a few of them there, and her voice was different from Annie Ross. Annie Ross was a higher octave voice, they were not, but it sounded different. It sounded very good. And incidentally, Yolande Bhawan is still around. She's alive, living in London, and she's in touch with a lot of jazz guys. If you're interested to search for her and write to her, she'll be happy to respond to you. She has a lot of stories to tell about Billie Holiday and the other musicians of that era, all the famous guys. Lots of interesting stuff. Okay, so let's listen to Lambert, Hendricks and Bhavan doing Count Basie's Chinese Stockings. Anyone?
With my baby and I know in nothing flat. She's got something mellow, lots of fellows whistle at. When we go for a walk, I know soon as we're out with no shadow of doubt. She's got lots to be proud about. If I'm lucky to have someone so endowed, a girl half as lovely would make lots of fellows proud. I love all of her charms, but one's really a ball. I love those shiny stockings most of all. Every man, every girl, becoming a real shame. What do you think of that? Where's the thing we're at? Oh, got to do business, we got busy business. And in for them, even better than that. We're gonna start to take another women passing by. Take a look at the illuminati. The one that's really got a will. And looking at very fast, she must be up to par with our friend. Otherwise, her old man's eyes will start to wonder. So we got to bring the end. Just the reason my stockings shine. Cause they appeal to that man of mine. I love it when he says I'm looking good. Cause I'm such a people at the moment. You remember talking never look at the women. Cause the judge is so busy. We want to get stuck. But as fine as I am. Yes, I agree. She's fine. Yes, my baby is fine. And she's all mine. What a lucky girl am I. I'm proud as can be that she only needs me. Cause anyone can see.
So that's the result of no rehearsals. Strange Asian Sri Lankan lady joining the group and fitting in so well. That was the gig they had at that club called Basin Street East, which they had to do because they were committed. And this lady pitches in and they take off from there. So, unfortunately, Lambert, Hendricks, and Gowan had a short-lived career, and that was very tragic because what happened was Lambert was driving from New York to New Jersey for another gig, and he had a tire flat on the way. And in those days, I think they didn't have a shoulder on the highway, to park safely, like our highways. So the guy parked, got down to change the tire, took out his jack and so on, like we all do when we started changing a tire, and a truck came from behind and took him off. And literally took him around 30 feet, over and died. And that was the end of Lambert, Hendricks, and Gowan. So, very promising career went down, and after that, I think Gowan went back to England, and Hendricks started a solo career. Okay, now this is a very interesting group called Les Doubles de Paris. Why Lambert, Hendricks, and Ross were doing jazz vocals in America? There was a group which was doing something similar, but 6 of them, 3 men, 3 women, called themselves Doubles. And they were so good that Quincy Jones, if you remember the Quincy Jones presentation done by Ramesh here a couple of months ago, Quincy Jones realized that there is a very talented group there. So he went to France and recorded them. And Dizzy Gillespie, which, as you know, was a pioneer in finding talent outside America, all those great Latin jazz musicians were all acquired literally, including Sandoval and all those guys, and brought to America. Dizzy Gillespie also recognized this group, the Doubles de Paris, and decided to record with them. So this album is Dizzy with that group, and you see they are different, but they are very, very advanced. Once again, this is in the 60s, and they are doing Dizzy's composition in the day. What power?
Next one. Should I play it?
This is the track which Ray Charles made popular, and I think the video will see that. Yeah, let's move on. The next group is a derivative of the double six virus. The double six was broken and a new group of led by a guy called Ward Swindle was founded, and they did both classical as well as jazz. And became very popular, sold, won several Grammys. Let's do that. You know, they've done the Flight of the Bumblebee, which is a huge challenge when it comes to vocalization. So let's listen to how they do it.
He's got something.
The next one is
He's got something to say.
yeah. Good point. Something which I didn't mention. When vocal harmony is done entirely by voicing, with no backup band, no instrument, the voices take place of the instrument, then it's very popularly known as a cappella group. A cappella. And this is an example of what a cappella is, as Vivek pointed out. Okay.
This is a very nice, very challenging piece.
Because they produced all the instrument sounds. The whole, yeah.
The question remains, how much of this is still from the original classical score? Because I recognize the score as being playing essentially the classical score, where the musical instruments have been transcribed to voice. How much of it is classical and how much is it jazz vocalization on the harmony?
So, yeah. So like Uncle Ashwin was saying, this group, the Sweden Swingers, was both doing classical compositions as well as jazz. So what we heard was a pure classical theme, exactly note to note from the sheet. I think the next one is going to be a little bit of an improvisation.
I didn't want to keep it only jazz. I don't want to straight jacket it onto only jazz. Because I found this to be
I wasn't sure what the point. I wasn't sure what the point was.
I found this to be a beautiful example of harmonization in a complete sense, with no band to support them. I'm doing a composition which is challenging even for the best musicians. It's very challenging. So
just one more thing I'd like to also add. Is interestingly over here, if you look back at orchestras and choirs and things like that, they had multiple people singing a single voice also. Like you see, the standard choir is SATB, soprano, alto, tenor, bass, descending in pitch from SATB. But here in this group, you see about 7-8 vocalists. All of them are singing really different lines. So it's totally a thing of really getting your part, your melody. Correct. Rhythmic variation. So you are learning your own part, you are listening to somebody else sing something totally different.
They are not 16 notes, they are 30-second notes.
That's a tough
They are 30-second notes. They are not 16th or 8th, they are 30 seconds. 32.
Yeah. Another beautiful thing about this was that there was no conductor or any such person.
Nobody could conduct.
So you are purely listening to other people's cues and then you are fitting in your part and so you are so thorough of the entire arrangement that you know the moment this stops I come and the moment this guy comes and I go there.
Imagine one of the guys goes out fraction.
Everyone else
It collapses.
thrown away.
I played it for that reason.
Okay, so
Yeah, so the next one is a regular bossa nova, which after doing Bumblebee, this is good stuff. move on from these people, and we now come to probably the best vocal jazz group of all time. It's called, it has a strange name called Manhattan Transfer. Now, how they got that name, I don't know, but they probably thought of some subway station when they had to take a transfer from one line to another, called themselves the Manhattan Transfer. And they first started in 1969, and you see the black and white picture on the top, which is when they started. And that guy with thinning hair, Tim Hauser, he was a taxi driver who was also fond of singing, and he wanted to make a career in singing, but he realized that there are too many people around, so let's try to do something different. So he says that on one of his rides in the city, he met with a music producer who was, whom he was giving the ride to, and he told him that he wants to, start singing with some people from a group, and the producer suggested the names of a couple of them, Alan Paul and the other lady, Janet Steele. And then they all got together. They all got together and found that each one of them had a unique quality. To the extent that they approached after a few gigs in clubs and performances, they were approached by this guy, head of Atlantic Records, Ahmed Artigan. Ahmed Artigan was a Turk who had escaped and gone into America. And they founded, both he and his brother founded a fantastic recording company called Atlantic. Now, Atlantic Records was unique because Atlantic produced the music which nobody else wanted to touch. Like Thelonious Monk and John Coltrane and Miles Davis and people who other producers were scared of because they do something different and they didn't want to touch them. Too risky. So Artigan has picked a number of artists. If you read his history, all the great guys he's produced, but they were not great when they started, they were not preferred. So then he picked up Manhattan Transfer. And after that, Manhattan Transfer went on and on and on, doing a lot of varied stuff, not just jazz, but pop and bebop and what fusion and whatnot. And they even did thriller. So at the end of it, they won 11 Grammys, and their last concert was somewhere in 2008 or 10, not too recent, not too long ago. So here they are going to do this 2006 version of Manhattan Transfer doing Benny Golson's Killer Joke. Now, if you've seen that picture, the terminal with Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks is an East European stuck at an airport, and he is very keen to get the signature of only one musician left in that whole, that picture where he has. He's got everybody's signature except Benny Golson's. So he escapes from the terminal to go to the club where Benny Golson is playing, so that he gets his autograph, and Benny Golson is playing his composition Killer Joke. So they are doing Killer Joke. Correct.
This is the story of Killer Joke. He's a real bad and I told you so. We see him on the corner smoking that offensive friends, but the rest of the people see cold bad friends. That's tough, good, looking flip, and jive. He's the kind of cattle that can get man cry. So look out for Killer Joke. Killer
You can see the band is only providing the rhythm, and every element of the composition is played out here. Even the brass section, unison singing, then the harmony of the lyrics, and the part where the individual instrument improvisation. They're doing all of that together in the whole run of the song. Let's do another Manhattan transfer with Ella Fitzgerald. And this is the famous Ella Fitzgerald song, How High the Moon. Yeah, that one. At the Grammys.
Thank you. You do this first?
You're the same. I just want to say something. Great honor for us to be up to, and even a great honor to sing with you. Really is.
Thank you. I won't feel that way when I sing. I don't know how to do it.
the sound is not good, but if you hear it on it's a lovely piece. Get the next one here. It should be better. So this was their last performance. After that, they all retired, and if you notice that Volta is no longer in the group. He had passed away by that time. This was just a couple of years back. Okay, we go to another group called New York Voices, who were also started around '87, and again went into classical pop, jazz, largely jazz, and won several awards. Very similar to Manon Transfer, but not as popular as them. We hear them doing once again in a big band context, doing John Coltrane's Giant Steps, and then after that there's another song they're doing of Benny Goodman called Sing Sing Sing.
This is nonsense.
The other one you would be fine. it's Coltrane's quartet composition written for big band and orchestra, and it's got these guys doing it in harmony.
Now,
It's
it's
very good
It's
taste.
a classical orchestra playing largely from sheet music.
Yeah.
So I would love to have seen the sheet music.
You must
class.
listen to it at home on on headphones.
He's saying he'd like to have a look at the individual parts.
Kevin, just try that.
Instruments, yeah?
Audio output.
And then the
No,
singer.
this is
The video was.
Just you guys get in on the scene.
Sorry, you were saying something?
I'm saying that it seems at the beginning as though when the individual singers come on, that they are singing, they're improvising scat. Then you realize they've actually rehearsed
Million times.
a million times and they're singing in harmony.
On time with everyone.
And singing for yeah,
And there is no scope of error because this is live.
And it's in harmony.
Yeah.
We're going to finish out our portion of the set here with our nod to the big band hero, Eddie Goodman. He grew up, this is Sing, Sing, Sing. Sing, 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 sing. All you got to do is sing. Sing, 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 sing. All you got to do is sing. Yeah. Sing, 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 sing. All you got to do is sing. Girls and boys, big and boys, just try to sing with us. Sing, 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 sing. Everybody likes to sing. Summer, fall, winter, spring. These all the times to sing. When the music comes around, just join in with your sound. Everything you need to know, just making all our facts go. Sing, 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 sing. All you got to do is sing. Shakespeare said the songs of fame. When you sing it with us, sing. We got lots of that, we have every action. Sing, 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 and don't think of guarantee that it's true. The melody's gonna get to you. It's gonna say, "Don't be smart on you." I want you to stay with you. Every time I want you to stay with you. Until the game on, get on the low. Give it up. So much better. Light up time together. I'm losing my first mind. Something like that. You'll see flying again. Flying again. Come on. Sing, 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 sing. All you got to do is sing, 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 sing. All you got to do is sing. Girls and boys, make a noise. Just try to sing it with us. Sing, 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 sing. Everybody likes to sing. Summer, fall, winter, spring. These are all the times to sing. When the music comes around, just really with your whole sound. Here's something you need to know. Just make
Okay, let's move forward. It's already quarter to four. Can we skip this? Yes, something else. You heard two of them. This is a duet between two very well-known male singers who worked together to sing this very famous composition. Al Jarreau, who was actually a doctor, psychologist, who decided to give up his career to become a vocalist and did very well in Boston recently. And Kurt Elling, who's still around, very popular. Listen to Take Five. I think let's get this. We talked about African influences in vocal jazz harmony and how it went into those sugar plantations and then into the choirs in church. But I didn't show you anything. So I thought we must have a look at one of them. And this is a modern day choir. It's not a traditional church choir. There's plenty of energy led by the singer Esther.
leave me. Oh,
Okay, so we have covered jazz, we covered a cappella, we covered blues, and we did that Bumblebee, and now the gospel singer. So I want to finish this off with, I have a lot more, but see, with an R&B group, which is called a two-walk group. Now this is also where vocal harmony came into being, and this group was extremely popular. I'll have to skip Four Freshmen, which is a landmark group in the US, who were there for about 50, 40 years. They're still going strong, of course. New people added, Four Freshmen, but I'll have to skip it because it was too long. And we go to the Platters. The Platters were a very unique group of four who did some remarkable compositions, extremely good soloist called Tony Williams, and they had several hits, over 40 hits in a 12-year period. I'm going to go this one as our conclusion. Smoke Gets in Your Eyes. Hopefully some of the oldies have heard this. by their producer. Despite having gold records, the producer ran away from most of the money, and they didn't get much. And they were locked in litigation between each other, all those five people. Then they had a lot of imitators. They didn't have any rights to the music. The producer had taken it all away. And so there were a lot of imitators later on. So it was a very sad ending to the Platters. But their music lives on. It's a beautiful piece. Williams had died early. He had a voice, if you notice, over 3.5 octaves. From bass to go to soprano and above. And all the rest of them were equally talented. Okay, so I think we've come to the end of this. I hope you enjoyed it.
We keep on hearing this word falsetto, falsetto. Somebody says, what frequency is that falsetto and what pitch is that falsetto? They do not suppose they're singing C or something like that. Falsetto sound. Where do I go?
So about falsettos, basically when you talk about the range of an instrument, it is from some particular note to particular note, maybe 3 octaves or something like that. Now similarly for the human voice also there is some particular range, and when it gets extremely unachievable for a player to reach some notes, there is a technique where you sort of shut off this lower diaphragm of the vibrating column, and you use these cavities from your skull basically when you are singing really high, like something like. So I'm sort of not letting this part of my vocal cord resonate, but I'm using this head voice is what they call it. So falsetto is when you're forcing your voice to sing, and it's not a very regularly recommended technique for longer durations, because it is a little detrimental to your long-term vocal cord health. So falsetto is basically singing extremely out of your register, which is sort of exhausting for a player to do for the moment. Like to add
I
something?
can recognize the falsetto, but the explanation which you gave,
Falsetto is a dissonant technique.
Right, so you're just going into an extreme higher register of singing.
I disagree. I don't think it's about dissonance. It's not about dissonance.
please elaborate.
No, when we sing with your voice, a falsetto comes from your. So, yeah.